All right, we're getting started right on time. My name is Steve Moreland. Welcome to Better Each Day. Better Each Day is a program that really separates the average individuals that are comfortable with despicable mediocrity from those that decided that that's just not for them. You being here live and those of you that watch by replay, you have made a decision, and that decision has moved to the level of a commitment. Okay. A lot of people decide, I want to get in shape. And then they make the decision. They start off on January 1st with a great New Year's resolution. And by the end of January, they're just no longer doing anything. So what is the difference between those individuals and those individuals that make the decision and then do the one extra step called commitment? The commitment is not the fact that everything we do every day we get up, that we're always going to get to the gym on time, or sometimes are we going to get to the gym at all? In fact, I gave up going to the gym a long time ago because the gym became a barrier to me. And what I mean by that is I'm always looking for how do you succeed? And if you put additional steps or obstacles in your way, and then life does what? It gets busy, it gets chaotic, things happen, then you're like, man, I don't have time to drive 10, 15 minutes across town to park, go in, put my keys in the locker, all that kind of stuff, and then get in onto the floor and jump on a treadmill or hit the weights or whatever. And so in my mind, I'm like, that's 30 minutes round trip before I actually get to hit and start getting my cardio or whatever I'm there for, pull-ups that day or whatever. So what I always look for is how do you do things? I always look for examples, okay? Examples of individuals or groups that have succeeded at almost an otherworldly level. And this is what I'm always looking for is patterns. Success leaves clues. Everybody's heard Tony Robbins say that. He says it over and over again because it's so absolutely true. And if you look at his mentors, whether it's Jim Rohn or Earl Nightingale or going back into time and history, yes, there are patterns. There are patterns of individuals that succeed. That's what we're going to talk about today with a superhero level of performance. Okay. How do they do it? What changes the imagination process in their gray matter that's the same gray matter that we have? But why do they go run an Ironman triathlon and yet other ones never do anything except become awesome at couch surfing? What is the difference? Where is that commitment level? What changes in your mind? And so what I looked at, again, looking at from an exercise standpoint, is look at our fighting men and women that protect our country, that protect our world. All of them go to the gym every day in mass numbers when they're in boot camp or even when they're past boot camp. No, what do? They go find a wonderful place out on the beach. Okay. It's free. It's all the space you want. Okay. And guess what? At the end of the day, how much space do you need? You need a space that's about 6 feet long by maybe, 3 feet wide. So where can you go get that? Well, it's called body weight exercises, okay? And there's all kinds of cool systems out there that are online. You can use the Tabata program that gets your heart rate up while you're doing these squats and push-ups. And at the end of the day, are they so specific? Like I used to use Cybex machines when I was, in the gym a long time ago. No, they don't specifically concentrate on muscle, but what they do is they give you what's called functional exercise. The healthiest demographics of all our species is who? Children, body weight wise, flexibility wise. I mean, how many of you have seen your kids that look like they're bending their arm backwards like it's a piece of rubber? Okay, because they got that flexibility still. We can't do that as we get older because we start atrophying. Okay, but think about what they do to create this great level of health and fitness. Look at what they do on the playground. They run, they jump, they sprint, they crawl. And all of these things, if you go back to, there's a primal system, and I'm going to try to remember it. It was done in 1902 by George Hebert. It's now known as MovNat, M-O-V-N-A-T. It's a worldwide organization, but MovNat came from a French concept that, let me see if I can give it, that George Hebert actually did this in 1902. He was in charge of a French frigate sitting off the island in the Caribbean of Martinique. And while he's sitting there, guess what they saw? The mountain in the middle of the island blew up, volcano. All the people, all the French citizens that are sitting there on the island, the volcano lava was coming down in 1902. And guess what's coming down with it? All the animals, snakes, everything coming to hit all the people that are standing on the beaches. But guess what? They're all sitting there going, we're going to die because the lava's coming at us. There's no place to go because the ocean's behind us. And George Hebert moved his frigate closer to shore, offloaded all of his men, and saved, not everyone, but saved a significant number of fellow countrymen, and came back and was able to receive the French Naval Cross for valor. That was done because of a very unique thing. It was called mouvement au naturel. Okay, I'm trying to speak French. I don't speak French. Sabrina, help me here if you can.
No,
Close
I
enough.
don't.
Okay. But anyway, you get it. It's called natural movement. And what he was actually endorsed by the French military is he created the first calisthenics program for the French military. And you're like, calisthenics, man, everybody does calisthenics. No, they didn't. Prior to 1902, it wasn't a standard operating procedure that he did. He actually created more of a gymnastic environment for special forces. Okay. And now, of course, we see those programs today, whether you jump on YouTube and you see how special forces train on all these ropes courses where they're climbing and swinging and flipping upside down and scaling and rappelling and all this stuff. Now, I'm telling you this long story for what? Because fitness is not just about physical fitness. Fitness is not just about how you move on the ground, whether you're doing a bear crawl or you're doing a sprint or you're doing V-ups or whatever. It is a matter of mental fitness. It translates. And so whether you're learning how to do urban surfing, or the French word is called parkour, I would love to do that. But if you've ever been around me, I'm almost 6'3". I'm 225, 230. And grace and movement and agility is just it's not my thing. Okay. I'm more like that brute force. When I used to fight in martial arts, I would just brute force attack, raw horsepower, heavy kicks, and I would just go in there and bludgeon the guy to death until he just said, oh, I'm out, done, or TKO. Now, the point is the fitness that you're going to do is about your fitness in life, okay? How are you going to overcome the obstacles, the opponents, the unexpectedness that happens to us on a daily basis? I mean, think about what's going on with our world right now. We still have this underpinning thing called COVID, okay? We don't know when there's another Omicron variant that's going to pop up and then boom, everybody's going to be back at the emergency room again on oxygen. We don't know. It's not gone. Okay. There's still a level of it functioning out here. It's a little bit in the weeds now, but look what's happened now that's now more problematic. It's not killing people, not death-wise, but it's killing people financially. What's going on right now in the world? Just in the United States, if you're paying attention to any part of the news, what have you seen in the last 4 or 5 months just here in 2022? The highest rate of inflation in 40 years. And it's just getting started, folks. What else do you see? You've seen mortgage rates because of the change in the Fed and them no longer buying private bonds in the private sector, them reversing the quantitative easing, moving the interest rates up. Those have called the mortgage rates to move from an average of 3 to 3.25 up to over 5.25. So 2 points increase in 90 days. That's incredible. Look what's happening to our rate of home, where all of a sudden the mortgage rates are going up and now the home prices have jumped up too. And guess what the problem is? The problem is our wages are not keeping up with that much more acute angle of increase in home prices. And now we have an average of 40% increase in rentals around the United States. Whoa, what's going to happen here? People getting rental renewals where their income is not making enough to pay for the new rent rate. We got $5 plus gallons of gasoline, $6 plus if you live in California. You look at all these things that are just starting, the supply chain issues that are causing all kinds of ripple effects that we never could have imagined. Why? Because we can't get a chip that's built in Shanghai over here to a car dealer that's trying to push the car out in Tennessee. So the car doesn't work now because it needs a chip. All kinds of weirdness that we didn't imagine that a virus would have caused these kinds of physical and economical chaos. Now, what are you going to do? Well, you can sit down on the ground and throw a fit like a 3-year-old in the mall on a Sunday afternoon, or you can use your mental fitness. That's what we're focusing on now, is how do you take the fitness and the conditioning that you've been doing, whether that's physical, whether it's mental, whether it's your daily meditation practice, And how do you take the gray matter here using your imagination? And how do you push off the fear? Okay, false expectations appearing real. About 2 months ago, we went through one of the programs, and I gave you a little video clip of Will Smith in the movie After Earth. And he talked about a very dramatic part. I love Will Smith. He's very, very dramatic, excellent actor. And he's talking to his son on a comm system, and his son is having to go a long distance to rescue him because he's dying. And as he's talking to him on the walkie-talkie, on the communication, he's explaining to him how you overcome your fear. And the thing is you have to understand that fear isn't real. What is real is danger. But we act like fear of something that hasn't happened yet. So where's it at? What are we afraid of? We're afraid of the imagination that we have made of something in the future, an event, something bad that could happen. Maybe somebody might laugh at me. What if I fail? And you run all these crazy little movies in your head. And yes, I said crazy because they cause you to act in a non-functional fashion. You're not properly doing your mental calisthenics, if you will, with the MoveNat system. That's a physical version that helped those individuals rescue all those lives off the island of Martinique in 1902. And it wasn't because they started to get in shape the moment the volcano blew up. No, he had been putting everybody on that frigate through a regular regimen of what? Fitness training, burpees on the deck, okay? Push-ups, mountain climbers, squats, leg lunges, okay? Why? Because he wanted them to be prepared for when it matters most. And here we had thousands of fellow Frenchmen dying because what? They didn't know the volcano was coming. We didn't have all the fancy sophistication, pre-warning systems that we have today. All of a sudden, boom, volcano just blew up. Lava's coming. Snakes are running down the hill at me. I got to get out of the way. And where am I going to go? What am I going to do? And this is the next thing I want to take you to is the fitness process. I'm going to give you the name of an individual here. Let me see if I can pull it up real quick. It's called the 10-80-10, and it's the U.S. Air Force's #1 SEER school training. And so how many of you know what SEER school is? Have you ever heard of that? Survival, escape, resist, and evade. Okay. So they take all of our special forces that are going to be small in number, that are going over enemy lines, and they put them through SEER schools. And SEER schools are basically mocked up operations where they take them and they put them through simulated POW environments. And they put bags over their head, they beat them up, they try to get them to give up rank and information and location of the rest of the troops and stuff like that. And they put them through what? Simulated torture. Why are they doing that? Why are we torturing our own troops? To create a level of mental toughness here so that if the event ever does occur, guess what? They will have a different increased level of conditioning that gives them what? Strength. Strength does not come from sitting on the couch watching Netflix. I know Netflix hates me for me bashing them all the time about binging on Netflix, okay? But you know what I mean, okay? There are those individuals that do nothing but binge on Netflix. And you look at their conditioning, look at their performance, and ask yourself, if chaos breaks loose in our city or our region or our country, are those the individuals that you want to go, what should I do? How should I deal with my stress? How should I deal with my fear overcoming me? The answer is no. I don't want to go talk to them because they don't know how to do anything other than find the next Netflix series. Okay. So who do you want to find? Well, the U.S. Air Force top guy that trains specialists in this has a 10-80-10 rule. And the 10-80-10 rule is real simple. 10% of any given population, like the plane's going to go down, 10% do what? They go nuts. They're screaming, hollering. They're become almost violent. No, not almost. They do. And what do they act like? They act like a scared animal. The fight or flight thing has kicked in. They're grabbing every oxygen bag they can. They don't care if it's a kid or anybody. It's all about me. One of my very good friends, DiCatello, was a U.S. Coast Guard rescue swimmer. He jumped out of those helicopters like you saw in the movie with Ashton Kutcher called Guardian. And So he had to, at one time, very similar to the story they had there was a family that had gone down and were in the water. And so it was a mother, a father, and a son. And when he got into the water, he has to do a quick assessment and make sure everybody's still sane. But if you become gone nuts, you have to be careful of that individual, because they can literally kill you and everyone else, because it's such a critical situation. And he had a mother that came at him like a vicious, possessed woman, okay, because she was so afraid. Her fear had overtaken her senses. She couldn't think rationally about herself, her husband, and her son. So she just came right at this Coast Guard swimmer, and he had to hit her and knock her out. And you're like, oh my God, why would you do that? Because she would have killed him and the husband and the son, which is the two that he did get in the basket, and he did get them out of there, and he wasn't able to get her out in time. Now, that happens. How many times do you see that when things go wrong in business or things go wrong in family? Do people always have a nice, calm, cool, collected approach to things? No, they don't. They go nuts, and their anger goes crazy, and they get scared, and they start doing insanity stuff, right? And those individuals that are able to act calm and cool and collected despite chaos, those are the other 10% of the spectrum. Remember I told you? His name is Dr. Leach, Dr. John Leach. So if you want to look up the 10-80-10 system, that's what he teaches at Sears School. So here's the thing, 10% of people are going to act like a nutbag, okay? And you're either going to have to move away from them or get them out of the scenario, because they will destroy everyone else. Then you have the other 10% that do what? They act like heroes. What does a hero mean? That means that they maintain calm, cool collectedness. They take a leadership role. Why? Because the 80% in the middle, what are they doing in the middle of a plane crash or a boat capsizes or any kind of chaos that happens? What are the 80% in the middle? What are they doing? Give me an example.
Reacting.
Freeze.
They're freezing. Yep, they freeze. They just lock up. They just stand there and they're watching, and their gunfire's going off in the middle of a mall. And these people are just standing there going, uh-oh, I don't know what to do. It's the deer in the headlights. They literally freeze up. Functionally, they can't move. Fear has overcome them at a point to where it paralyzes them, okay? So if you have 80% of the individuals that have just become almost catatonic, what do they need to survive?
They need leadership and guidance. Sorry.
Go ahead, say again.
Leadership and guidance.
Okay, anybody else?
I was going to say leadership.
Okay. Correct. They need someone that's just simply going to say, go to the exit or go down those stairs or get down. You follow me? So who is that person that's going to help the 80% that just lock up because they don't have any mental conditioning? They have zero mental toughness. Okay. They're not the chaotic ones that flipped out and went nuts. They're just the ones that are going to sit here until someone shoots them, or they're going to sit there until they get run over, or they're going to sit in the middle of the plane while it's going under after it landed on the water because they didn't go to the exit door. So you have someone that steps up and takes that leadership role, a superhero role that we call a leader. And the leader is not about being, look at me, I'm so good, I've done all my conditioning and I'm so awesome. No, that's not the whole leader. The leader is the individual that's been doing all that conditioning for months, years, decades, whatever, for the opportunity to do what? To serve. That's what you do all the conditioning for. That's what we train for. That's why we come here every week. That's why you go to your other training programs that you do with other individuals that are leaders. Why? Because it is the training that you do in the Sears schools before the event. You're taking the simulated training that you're doing what with your imagination? You're creating patterns up here. What do you do? How do you do it? You fall back on your natural training. That's why the military is so adamant about its regimen. You're always getting information and you're doing these kinds of exercises, and you go out to the range and you do a certain ritual when you're firing at your silhouettes downrange. You do the same things over and over again. They are redundant. Yes, it's boring. Okay. I can't tell you how many burpees I've done in my life. A lot. Okay. But when you fall back and things go berserk, they call it falling back on your training. And if you don't have training to fall back, you become who? Those 80%ers. Because when chaos hits and the mind goes, oh, shit, okay, then what you do next, that functionality is part of what you have added in through your conditioning and through your training. And guess what? If your mind's looking around going, I don't know what to do in the middle of chaos, then it just locks up and it freezes. So you have a choice. You've already made a choice. You've made a commitment. You're not the person that just said, hey, I want to get in shape on January 1st, and you disappeared by the end of January. You're showing up here, whether it's by live or by replay, because you want to make a difference. That's what Better Each Day is about. It is about training. I know this 30-minute segment that we talk about right now is usually focused on talking about gratefulness, okay? And we're going to do that here in just a second because we still got about 8 minutes. But I wanted to give you this concept because a lot of people join us on this first one, and then they can't make it to the second or third one. And I wanted to give you this concept of how valuable it is. Think about the 10-80-10 so that you understand that you have a choice which one of those groups you fall in. Do you want to be the imbecile that goes berserk because they have no training and then they only act for self-preservation, and that means stepping over anyone else to get what they want? No, who wants to be that? Might as well be an animal. That is not the definition of superhuman, okay? Or do you want to be the 80% average, the ordinary, those that don't train, and then when chaos breaks loose, you just sit there with a deer in the headlights? Or do you want to be part of the 10%, the leaders, those that condition and train? For what reason? They train to be better each day so that they can help other people when chaos arrives. Chaos is always on its way. It's always on its way. And if you start training and conditioning the day chaos arrives, just like George Hebert, when 1902, when the volcano blows up, if they had started training right then and said, okay, guys, let's get out here on the deck and do some burpees and some jumping jacks, and we're going to do some push-ups, and when we get done with all that, then we're going to jump on shore and go save our fellow Frenchmen. What would have happened? Disaster. Wouldn't happen. They were already ready because they had been doing all these calisthenics and exercises. So when chaos arrived, everyone on the ship was prepared and physically fit to go do those things that they needed to do. Does that make sense? Does everybody get that? Cool.
Yep.
Okay. So that's a real big reason. We've talked about before, when you look at your actual compass and how you actually train with it. I'm getting mine out here, right here. The program of building the compass is your other part of your mental preparation, okay? It is your calisthenics that you are doing on a regular basis. I just did my new one yesterday and for the week. And if you're not building this, if you're not creating this and designing this, this is your mental calisthenics, okay? Of where are you going? Why are you going there? Who do you need to become? What skill do you need to add? We're going to talk about that in the next 30 minutes, that we're going to focus on the compass. And so that, if you see the process that I'm taking you through, this is designed for you not just to be a survivor. That's not good enough for us, okay? Yes, the top 10% have an exponential rate of survival over the 80% in the middle and the 10% at the other end that just go berserk, okay? Those people kill everybody else or hurt themselves. So if you want to be part of the 10% that is here to, number one, you've got to be better each day. And your conditioning is designed for what? Because you don't know what you're going to be called up to do. You don't know when your fellow human is going to need your help. So in the next 30 minutes, okay, we're going to talk about a thing called alter ego. And we're going to talk about how that incorporates into your compass design. So if you can stay with us, that's awesome. Here's what I'm going to do first is I'm going to make sure that you have a link that goes to this next deal. Hang on one second. I got to grab it. I'm going to put it in the chat here. Give me half a second, folks. And let's see. Okay. Okay, I got it here. So I'm going to drop this in the chat. This is the Zoom link for the next 30 minutes that'll start here at 4 minutes. Okay, so we got 4 minutes left. Tell me what you're thankful for that you just learned in the last 20 minutes. Let's focus on that because we always want to focus on gratefulness. Jump in here. Go ahead, Bob.
Okay.
And then Nisa.
Okay, go ahead, Bob.
Thank you so much. Okay, so this is Bob coming to you from Zimbabwe, Africa. And I am just so thankful for a couple of things. One is that, Steve, you've consistently continue with this program. And two, technology that we have that allows us to connect with you. And the final thing, especially for Zimbabwe, is that today I actually have internet and connectivity. So thank you so much.
Awesome. Fantastic. Thank you, Bob. Nisa.
Okay, well, I'm grateful for this lesson because what I've learned from it, it just inspires me to be the 10% that's the hero that will help people and guide people to safety.
Absolutely. Think about this. I mean, what greater, we talk about valor, okay? We'll talk about that in the third session today. Valor comes from a Latin phrase that's called vale, V-A-L-E. And we'll go into the actual translation or whatever, but the point is valor or vale that we have, that is the root word for valor, okay, is also the root word for another word, value. And I found that interesting, okay, in Steve's nerd perspective on doing my research, okay, when I was writing the Rubicon system, 10 years ago. The key thing is, what do we decorate heroes for? Valor. And valor is reflective of what? Exceptional value demonstrated within chaos. When you hear that going above and beyond the call of duty, that meant that someone demonstrated a valuable action when most everyone else did what? They froze up. They went, I don't know what to do, so guess what? I'm going to do nothing. I'm going to become part of the chaos simply because my inaction, I'm going to become a stumbling block for everyone else. So when someone comes into a theater and screams fire, I'm just going to freeze up instead of getting to an exit and helping people move in an orderly fashion instead of everybody hitting it at the same time, bottlenecking, and no one gets out. Everybody dies. It only takes one leader. One leader prevents a crisis. You, because you've decided not just to make a decision to be better each day, but you've committed to do the conditioning. That's what this is. This is the training. We show up here every Saturday, or you watch it on replay when your schedule permits. But when you're constantly feeding your mind, what you're doing is you're changing your mental, not synapses, but not chemistry, but you're changing patterns. Because your mind is conditioned in going through simulations and going through trainings. What would you do in this scenario? How would you act like this? What's a better way to think about a bottleneck like this? Go ahead, Alan.
Keeping your mind when everyone else is losing theirs.
Bingo. That's what it all does. And so when you do that, and hey, last night I was on Netflix, okay? So everybody thinks that I hate Netflix, okay? I get people sitting me all the time, dude, why are you hating on Netflix all the time, okay? No, we were on HBO Max. We're watching some series called Staircase or something like that. Amy got me into it, okay? So now I'm watching a series when we have dinner every night. So anyway, I don't do the binging, but good video, whatever, when your mind is tired, it allows you to rest. I get that, okay? So I'm being facetious. You have to understand, okay? I'm just saying everything in moderation. That was the great quote that's on Apollo's temple, okay? Everything in moderation. When you do too much of anything, then you get a diminishing return. So my point that I'm trying to make here at the end of our 30 minutes is join me at the next time. Our link is in the chat. Join me in the next session. We're going to jump into not just the planning of using the compass tool and the redesign that I've created for you, but then the third section, we're going to focus on a really excellent individual that I absolutely love, done some of the training with him. But we're actually going to show you his superhuman alter ego and how he trains Olympic athletes and special forces to overcome what would sound like humanly impossible feats. And what is the procedure that he uses to train their imagination to do those things that we look at on television and go, oh my gosh, I can't believe that human did that. And he does this with his clients and his people that he coaches every single day. So how do we become better? We go find those individuals that are doing what? Excellent performance already. And then we reverse engineer, what are they doing? How are they training? What are they going on in their gray matter, in their imagination? And we break it down so that we can do what? Import it. That's as hard as it is. Yes, you're going to have to go out there and do some burpees. I know, I hate them too, but they work. Okay. Why do you think all the military uses them? Because they are the best thing that will get you in shape the fastest. It keeps you mentally conditioned. If you do your mental burpees, that means doing your training. That means going to some type of regular, consistent training like this and doing what? Measuring. That's what this is about, measuring. It's about a way of keeping track. How are you changing your performance? How are you thinking better? Not just how many more burpees can you do or how much faster can you run? How much better can you think? Because when you think better under pressure, you become the ultimate servant to other human beings. That's how we become better each day. I'll see you guys.
Hey, Steve.
I'll see you guys in 30 seconds. We'll jump on the other call. Thank you.